All right, I have 3 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get rolling. And I know probably people will join us. My plan is hopefully to leave a good bit of time at the end for questions, because I'm sure there probably will be things that I didn't cover that I should have, that again, you may have some questions on. So we'll leave plenty of time at the end. Hello and happy Monday and happy January and happy 2021. We made it to a new year. I know that we probably all have ideas of what the year may look like, but we'll talk about that. Just if I can remind folks to, if you haven't already, go ahead and mute yourself. And as I said, we will hold plenty of time at the end for questions. It is good to see, as I said, as people started filtering in, good to see faces, and glad that you could all join in this afternoon. So when I put together the agenda for today, again, just looking, trying to think about the month and the new year. There's a lot happening as we approach 2021, but this is kind of my agenda for this afternoon, and then open it up for whatever discussion you have. I do want to start kind of on a personal note, as I have in a lot of these extension connections, and I start with this quote on this slide. I feel like that. I woke up on Friday morning I felt a little bit re-energized, as far as like, wow, it's a clean slate, a fresh kind of planner, fresh book before us, thinking about what the new year may bring us all. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, again, just on some personal notes, last year I found, and many of you probably found, the book by Charlie McKeezy. I always don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's English, and he wrote a book that actually was out of stock on Amazon. I tried to buy it for Christmas presents, The Horse, the Boy, the Fox, and the Mole, or something like that. And I love his illustrations and quotes. And again, I just love this one, and so I thought I would share it all with you. Is in a lot of ways, yes, it's a new year, but here we are again, still working under COVID, under a COVID pandemic, and there isn't a lot that's changed from last year. And so again, how are we going to think about not only navigating COVID, as we've done magnificently, through the last year, but again, start looking towards the future. I hope everybody was able to really take a holiday break. It was actually well timed, as far as the system gave us the Thursday, Friday of Christmas, and then the Thursday and Friday of New Year's. And I know many people took the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And again, I hope that you were able to find some good time to just unplug from work. I said to the ELT team this morning, I haven't slept as much as I did over the break since I was in high school and had a good case of mono. I slept days away. That's what it reminded me of. But I realized, and I didn't feel guilty, that I wasn't doing all the things on my home to-do list. I needed to recharge my batteries, I think, like everybody else. And so I did kind of wake up this morning going, I can do this. Let's bring on the new year. Let's head back to work. So I hope you all were able to, again, recharge your batteries as well. I love lists. I love goals. I know I've shared those with you last year. It's kind of funny that we look back at last year. Last year I had all sorts of goals and aspirations. None of them happened really, because guess what? COVID. So this year, taking it a little easier. Personally, I have instituted some healthy habits because of COVID, and I'm hoping to keep those. And just think about what were the good things that came out of 2020. There were some. And how do we keep those going and find others? I do want to share kind of my approach through 2021 is going to be much the same as it was in 2020. I hope I'm not inundating and communicating too much. I will continue to do so, because I think that's really important, and I think that's how we got through last year as well as we did. And so I'll continue to send email updates. May not be 3 times a week, but if they need to be 3 times a week, I certainly will do that. But at least twice a week, send you all updates that I'm hearing from, again, the system or from the University of Maine administration, ELT, whatever. I feel like we want to keep the communication going. I do want to remind folks We're only as good as we all are healthy. This organization, at the end of the day, I shared this a lot last year with people. You know, I kind of put up Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we've got to take care of ourselves before we can do anything else. So with that, I just really want to remind everybody about personal well-being. Again, it's good to institute maybe some new healthy habits. One of the things I'm instituting is really trying to take control of my calendar and really thinking about how much time I do spend on Zoom, and try to carve out some other time to actually do work. And so I think this is a great time think about all that again with a fresh start. Leslie sent out an email this morning, and I just wanted to put a plug in for the mindfulness meetups on Mondays and Wednesdays from 8:45 to 9 a.m. Again, just a great opportunity to take 15 minutes out of the day and just take some time for some mindfulness. And again, we really don't have an end date for COVID, but we know hopefully it's coming in 2021. So do what we need to do to take care of ourselves and really think about personally how can we stay healthy through this all. We did have some wins at the end of last year. We're going to talk about the inflatable chicken costume in a minute. Um, uh, Many of you don't know this. I did share this with our marketing and communications team. In December, a reporter from U.S. News and World Report reached out to me to interview me as far as University of Maine Cooperative Extension's response to COVID. And I asked her, I said, you know, of all the extensions that are across the country, certainly, you know, there's 50 plus land grants actually, and many extension systems. How did you focus on the University of Maine? And she simply said, your website is extraordinary. And so I think it's important to share that because number one, I shared it with the marketing and communications and marketing team to thank them for all they do, but it goes to thanking you all too for the programs and for the services and for answering the phones at county offices and all of the things that have contributed to the extraordinary programming that we have done that have all contributed to the extraordinary website that we have. And so this reporter chose 4 extension systems to focus on, and ours is one of them. And so the articles should be coming out this month, and certainly I will share that all with you when it does come out. But I just wanted to share that so you all know, again, that your work is being looked at across the country. And I think that's important to remember. We did have our first annual Extension Virtual Holiday Celebration. And for those of you that joined us, I think you can all agree with me. There were surprises that we weren't prepared for. There were some folks that have a competitive streak that we did not know, and we all learned that there are such things as inflatable holiday costumes, which again I was not aware of. So I say that because it actually was a great hour. I think people enjoyed not having an agenda and not having to worry about work. It was fun to see people's kids join in and people's pets, and again, I hope it's a tradition that we actually keep, even when we're not working in this virtual world that we are in. And just, I'll put it out there that holiday costumes sometimes are half off now with the after Christmas sales. So this holiday inflatable turkey costume is on the World Wide Web on sale currently. And then the other thing I want to mention as a win towards the end of the year was late in December, we had different opportunities to engage with not only new members of the Maine legislature, but returning members as well. And I think that was really important that extension was again featured just as we look at 2021 and the new legislative session that is coming, and again, a new round of state policymakers that may not know about extension. So it was a great opportunity to engage with them. So here we are. COVID is still with us, and actually a lot worse off, or a lot worse in Maine than it was. We talked about certainly community spread as we ended December, and we're still working in that or under that. So I just wanted to do some updates as far as where we're at in the university and the system right now, and certainly again at the end happy to answer any questions. Some of these are just reminders that there really aren't any changes. Travel, again, out-of-state travel for work is not allowed at this point in time. But again, if I know that people are moving around for family reasons and whatnot, just remember there aren't any quarantine or testing requirements if you're going to New Hampshire or Vermont. Again, there is a travel form. We are still requesting that if you do have travel that you want to do, please fill out the travel form, and we're encouraging to limit any in-person contact travel. Like, we have a lot of folks that fill out the travel form because they have materials or items that they need to drop off, or they need to come to Orono to pick up a computer or things like that, which is fine. At this point in time, any meetings or anything like that that have to be done in person, we'd rather have those done virtually right now, which leads me into programs. As you all know, I believe it was late November, we did make a change to our in-person programs when the COVID cases increased in Maine. So right now, the only in-person programs that are allowed are those that are able to be held outside. It is supposed to be a little bit of a warmer week here in the Orono area, warmer being high 30s. I know that this is not conducive to a lot of in-person programs, but right now that's really all that we're allowing. We do have some programs that are being held on our camps, and those programs are actually K through 12 sanctioned programs that are being hosted at our camp facilities. So those still are happening as long as the schools are running in person. We are going to revisit this month, again, taking into account what's happening in COVID cases and whatnot. And again, all the forms and information, I put the plugged in website on this slide, and I'll share this slide set with you all when we're done. As far as COVID testing goes, we're working under the same premises that we worked under last fall. There is going to be phased testing starting actually this week. So I know many of you got the emails last fall, that you were chosen randomly to participate in phased testing. You may get another email this spring as well. Even though you've already been tested, they may pull your UMaine ID number again. We have worked with all of our offices to make sure that there is a supply of the test kits and whatnot. So if you do get the email saying that you do need to be tested, you should be able to do that right at your local office. I put the UMaine return website here because it does have some really good information. And what it also is great for is on the front page of this website is if you have COVID related questions. And by COVID related questions, I know we were getting a lot of, my roommate's sister tested positive and they spent time together last week. Do I need to be tested? Those type of questions as far as exposures and risks assessment and whatnot. And they've been great. The folks who man both the telephone line and who respond to those emails have been great at providing some responses to those questions. And typically, if we get asked those questions, that's who we reach out to, is the information on that front page of that website. Right now, all of our offices are, I say, quote unquote, open. They are. Obviously, we're open working under COVID guidelines. So again, our front doors may be locked. We're open to appointments. We have a rotational staffing schedule in our offices. But right now, all our counties are quote unquote open. And we'll continue to monitor this with UMaine emergency operations as far as if there are increased numbers and we may need to take an office back to being all virtual. And again, I'll communicate all of this. We'll be in touch, but certainly happy to answer any questions. The president is going to return to weekly 8 a.m. calls on Wednesdays and Fridays beginning this week. So I may have more information for you all on Wednesday after that call, and I'll share that in a Wednesday email. I know there's a lot of questions around vaccinations and whatnot. And I also know right before we broke for the holiday, President Farini Mundy is actually now chairing, is now chairing the system-wide committee on vaccinations. And so she probably will have hopefully more information on that. And then again, any other information that comes out of that meeting. Just for information purposes, it is important. The spring semester of UMaine begins on January 25th. They're on their winter semester right now. So I feel like, Extension woke up this morning and we all went back to work. I know the campus is slowly coming back just because of that start in, towards the end of January. We had an ELT meeting this morning and I felt like, this isn't new information, but I think it's important to have some gentle reminders as we begin the new year, just so we're all starting off on the same page. We get a lot of questions about what can I sign? Whether it's a contract at the local level, it's an MOU with some other entity or that you're doing programs with, all of that. So at the end of the day, unfortunately, there is nothing that any of you can sign. It all needs to come to us, and either Dennis or myself is actually the signatory for extension. So again, just a gentle reminder, because sometimes we have people that are signing things that probably shouldn't be signed. So just wanted to remind folks of that. Certainly, I'm happy, or Dennis would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. I know now, because of the virtual aspect of our work, that it's much easier to open up trainings to the organization. And so with that, just a gentle reminder, if you or a group or committee that you're on is offering now a statewide training to the entire organization, please just check with Fran just to make sure it may actually coincide with something else she has planned, or it may coincide with something else the university has planned, or it would just be good, again, just increase communication to know kind of what may be happening as we look to the future in regards to professional development. So again, just please check in with Fran if there's any kind of extension-wide trainings that may be offered. This next bullet point is just a reminder about spending. We're under the same budgetary restrictions that we were. I'm sorry to say that January 2021 didn't open up spending any. So this is just a reminder as far as what is able to be spent and what can be approved going forward with budgets. I wanted to add this other part just because, as I mentioned, our last Extension Connections was really amazing with President Farini Mundy and the provost joining us. I really think the president enjoyed herself thoroughly. I can't believe she stayed on. That was awesome. I took some notes from her remarks, and I think it's just a good reminder as we kind of start 2021. She talked about, one of the great things that it came out of COVID was this creativity, and that people were being creative in the programs and what they were offering and partnerships and whatnot. So I hope that we can continue our creativity as we go through this year. Patience, which ties into my buckets of grace. Again, I'm certain that we're going to encounter a lot of the same frustrations that we encountered last year, probably some new frustrations. So again, just remember some patience, ingenuity, and I feel like Extension, we are the masters of ingenuity. How do we figure out a way to make things work or make things happen or create new things? And then how do we tolerate and embrace uncertainty and ambiguity? And I know this is hard for a lot of folks, myself included, but I think I learned to tolerate it a great deal last year. And this is one of the things that I hope moves into 2021 again. And for me, I know it's like the broken record, but we'll still continue to talk about being flexible and just reminding ourselves to have some buckets full of grace, which goes along the lines with the patience. So with that, let's look to last month. I think we ended strong. We ended the year strong in a very, very, very strange year that none of us were ever really again, isn't it amazing to you all that last January we're sitting here, Extension Connections, here's my goals. It's going to be the year of the county. My words of the year are going to be focus. And I even forgot forward. That was my other word. And then in March, everything changed. And again, nobody had it on their radar screens. And so as I mentioned in my last email to you all on the 23rd, just incredibly appreciative of the work that you did and the fact that we were, I mean, again, we were phenomenal as an organization, and we ended strong. And I felt like we ended the organization. We did not end the organization. We ended the year thinking positively and beginning to think about the future and think about life after COVID. And so a couple of those things. Number one, in December, Mari joined us for Extension Connections. Mari Glatter joined us. Again, some of her work for the next 6 months is really going to be focused on instructional design support. And we're just really, again, grateful for her for taking this on. And I know, again, that a lot of you have reached out to her, and we appreciate that. We began looking at a customer relationship management system, which is called Salesforce, which again, looking at it as far as how could we implement it for the benefit of all of our programs and all we do in extension. I say we had the best extension connections to date with the president and the provost. I just think that was just pretty cool. In December, we also got to meet, Dennis and I spent a good hour with the new interim vice president and chief business officer, Joanne Yastremski. I'm not going to try to say that twice. She is the new Claire Strickland. And again, just trying to educate her on extension and what we're all about. This isn't public knowledge yet, but certainly we feel like it's going to become public here in the next few weeks. We had a group of 4-H faculty members put together a proposal for a Libra professorship, which is money that comes out of the provost and president's office to look at diversity. And we actually were awarded a Libra professorship, which is really important for extension, just because, again, it keeps us on the radar screen of both the president and the provost about the great work that we're doing. And so more information is going to come out on that. We had a joint meeting with the Commissioner of Agriculture and the Bureau Chief of Agriculture and the Director of the Forest Service and the Chancellor and the President and the Provost and myself and a bunch of other people to talk about just shared opportunities and priorities of both units. So that was a great opportunity to connect and hear from not only for the commissioner to hear from the university, but for our university administrators to hear from the Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry. We've had significant grantsmanship in 2020. And again, in December, we found out that several of these larger grants were awarded. And again, just kudos to everybody involved. These take a lot of time and a lot of effort. And so it was great to, as these started coming in, again, just to be recognized for the good work. We got to the shortest day of the year, and folks, it's already 5 minutes longer. I counted down the days till that December 21st, and I've been counting the extra minutes. I know it's probably a little more mental for me, but I'm so excited that our days, every day is a little bit longer. And then, as I mentioned, we had our virtual holiday Zoom, which I thought was a great success. In January, so here we are, 2021. This is an exciting announcement. The holiday season keeps giving. So this first bullet point, and again, happy to answer any questions on this at the end. And there will be an email coming out on this bullet point tomorrow to all the county coordinators. Basically, we have some financial reserves here in central administration that need to be spent. And so with that, we are going to be, for a one-time only offering, we are going to be crediting back money to the counties. So you will be receiving, again, a credit back to your county to be utilized for technology. Because again, what we found through COVID was that several counties were trying to figure out how to get to Orono to pick up equipment that we had here. We know that there's need for new laptops, for new software, for all sorts of other things. So we thought this was a great way to meet those needs and to spend some of our financial reserves. So again, there's going to be an email coming out tomorrow to all the county coordinators. in regards to this. And certainly Dennis and I are happy to answer questions at the end. But this is a little bit of a good news situation in that counties will be credited back some of their county funds to be utilized for technology. Again, this is kind of a one-time deal. So happy to answer any questions at the end. During our meeting with Joanne about, trying to, again, orient her on extension, she let us know that there are going to be now budget hearings. So the president and her executive team will be hearing from each unit on campus. We are a unit, and we have pretty much 45 minutes to tell extension story in regards to what our budget is, what we need, what our priorities are, and answer any questions that they may have. So we are going to be doing that in January and probably spending a good bit of time preparing for that. I've been hearing anecdotally the work of our theme committees, and so I look forward to, in February, looking at their reports. The theme committees are certainly meeting and have been and will continue to meet through January. And again, just plugging, please plan on attending our virtual organizational conference, March 16th to 18th. I promise you it isn't going to be 8 hours of Zoom a day. I promise that, because I can't do that. In January, there is going to be the virtual UMaine Ag Trade Show, which I know many of you are involved in, and we're involved in it as well. We do have a new employee orientation for our new extension employees this week. Look forward to spending a little time with them. Obviously, we're still dealing with COVID and responding to issues and questions and whatnot. That won't change. Remember, not that we're counting down the days till our next holiday, but just remember as you're looking at your calendars, Monday, January 18th is a holiday. And I toyed with actually trying to do a Zoom-free day in January, but I know people are trying to get up and running, and I didn't want to dictate, but we haven't forgotten about Zoom-free days. So hopefully in February we'll have another one. We've got a great group of people who are working on extension internships, and so that work of the committee will continue through January. And again, just really appreciate the folks that are on that committee. And then we actually have, I have 4 listed here. We're moving forward on 4 positions, and here's why I bring this to your all's attention, because there's a lot of moving parts and pieces. But again, this is part of the idea of moving forward and getting some forward momentum. And hopefully, again, I can address issues you may have as we move forward on these positions. In December, I requested from the PAC, from the faculty PAC group, support to do a search waiver for a climate change faculty position. And the reason for doing this is the Climate Change Institute at the University of Maine is globally recognized for the research that they do. The director of the Climate Change Institute approached me actually about this time last year and asked if the Climate Change Institute had the funding for an extension faculty position in climate change. Would Extension be interested in such a position? Extension is interested in such a position for several reasons. Number one, climate change certainly is something that the state is focused on with the Maine Climate Action Plan that was released at the end of last year. And certainly this is work that is already being done in a lot of our research programs and a lot of our work around the state. And so this would help us to formalize some of that work. And again, have the opportunity to engage with somebody within the Climate Change Institute that is actually already partnering with a handful of our extension faculty and staff in a lot of this work. The purpose with the Climate Change Institute wanting to do this was their realization that while they're recognized globally, they need to actually focus a lot of work here in the state. And how do they get a lot of the research? How do they get information out to the people of the state? And you know what? It's through extension. And so we're excited about this. Again, we're moving forward on the whole process with this, but I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that was occurring. We did receive approval in December to refill our dairy faculty position. This is a base funded position. We know that there is a great deal of need across the state in the dairy industry with the retirement of Gary Anderson. And so this will be a joint position with NSFA. Again, it's a base funded position. We're still working out what the split will be with NSFA, what that will look like. Also, and this happened about 2 days before the break, the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, or CLAS, put forward a priority position that was approved, and it's in Native American food sovereignty. And so it will be a faculty position that CLAS, the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, is majority funding. We may fund it for about 10 to 20%. We're still working out some of those details. But this is really how can the university engage more with our Native American population across the state and with the tribes and with different programs, and really looking at issues around food security, around health, around nutrition. And again, if you think about the work that we do in extension, we certainly are working in those areas, and this would formalize that work. And so that position, again, it's still early and we're still trying to figure out a lot of the details, but I just wanted to put it on everybody's radar screens. And then finally, since I got here now in May of 2019, there's been a lot of discussion around an ag engineer professional position to support ag industries across the state. Again, not a faculty position, but a professional position. And the Board of Ag, a lot of other ag industry groups, a lot of individuals have come forth saying we really need this as we look at our food systems and our small businesses and how they scale up, and again, just accessing information and whatnot. So we reached out to the Advanced Manufacturing Center on campus to look at if they had interest in partnering in a position with us around this idea. They do have interest. There may be some additional monies at the state and federal level to support this. So we are hopefully going to move forward with this position. It would be soft money funded, meaning we would utilize some of our one-time funds, and it would be contingent upon funding, and it would be our hope that this position would be funded. We would fund it for 3 years, and then after 3 years between contracts and grants and revenue generation, it could fully support itself and fund itself. So again, just really want to be open and transparent that these are positions that we're talking about and that you may be asked to be involved with in regards to search committees or other things. I do want to also mention, I know we have a great deal of need for positions within extension, faculty, professionals, staff. We need them all, and we're certainly open. If you have an idea for a position, or if you want to come forth with a proposal, happy for you to do so. The ELT will discuss it. What we are asking is really think about just funding. Base funded positions besides the dairy position are going to be very hard to come by. So are there different types of funding that we could utilize for such a position? And is there somebody that we could collaborate with in regards to this position? Every one of these positions that I've listed has some sort of collaboration or partnership. And so again, I think it's important to really expand our reach. We've got to think about who can we partner with, again, just to expand our resources as well. A little further out, again, the ELT met this morning, and again, we're not talking about big goals for the year, folks. This is the year to get through COVID successfully, really. And so, but we did talk about, all right, what are we collectively thinking about focusing on as we move forward through this year? Obviously, the work that is being done by our theme committees and how those theme committees come out with some recommendations that will be discussed during the all organization conference. And again, what will then be implemented. That's exciting. And that's, really what's on our immediate radar screen as we think about the next, 1 to 3 to 6 months. Obviously, again, that goes without saying, the all organization conference, which really leads into this, idea of change. And certainly we've lived through a lot of change last year with COVID, but it's time to think about, with the outcomes of the all organization conference and our committee work, those will lead to some changes. We are working towards a restructuring of the ELT, the administrative structure. That'll lead to some changes. And then COVID itself is going to lead to some changes. Are there programs that we're going to continue to do virtually because they've blown us away with how successful they are? Probably. Are there programs that we may need to sunset or let go of? Maybe. So again, I think we have a lot that we are going to look at this year in regards to change. And then underlining that all are going to be budgets and finances. We're, fingers crossed about what this year might look like. Right now, we have and I'm not holding anything back. Right now, we don't know what our budget future looks like. There hasn't even been any like guesstimates out there, but we know it could be bad depending on what the state does and again, federal relief and all of those things. So I say that all, and as I said, I promised I was going to end it because I know we're going to have questions, but man, 2021's got to be better than 2020. And so I've always loved this quote, again, as we think about a new year, is that hopefully things are far, far better ahead than the things that we leave behind. So with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen and open it up to questions. And I know there's been some in the chat box as well. So feel free to either shout them out or put them in the chat box.
Hey, Hannah, so the deal with the Climate Change Institute, you're talking about it publicly, so that's not a secret or anything. When's that going to be for real?
Thank you, Glenn, for the question. For real, it's all according to the process. And so what we will do in the next week or two, we're getting everything finalized into higher touch. We have conditional approval from the provost. The provost thought this was an excellent idea, but we still have to march it up the whole chain, as you all know, with positions. So it'll go to the president for approval and then the chancellor for approval. So I'm not even going to hesitate a guess as far as when it might be a done deal because of all those approvals, but hopefully in the next couple months, fingers crossed, if that helps.
Well, what percentage are you shooting for his extension appointment?
He will have a majority extension appointment. And I would have to go back, but I want to say it's a 70-80% extension appointment.
And the Climate Change Institute's going to fund that in perpetuity?
He will be on a yearly, we will have to review this on a yearly basis, but yes, we don't have an expiration date. How about that?
That's awesome.
That is awesome. It is a gift. I got a question in the chat that just went to me, which is kind of along the same lines as far as search committees go. Many of you may have been invited to be on a search committee, whether it's I don't think we actually have any extension positions that have been kind of paused right now, but other units have had some positions be paused or be put on pause. That was not proper English. There is not currently a hiring freeze. We're still working under the approval process, which is what is holding a lot of positions up, either, again, at our level, meaning the university level, or at the system level. And I'll give you another example. Again, there were supposed to be 4 dean searches happening on campus right now. I'm chairing one of them. We convened a search committee back in October, but the job descriptions have not been approved, nor have the positions been approved. So we haven't moved forward with them. So it's process. That's all I have to say. It's a very quiet group this morning. I've either covered it all and left nothing to question, or people are still getting into the swing of things. I've had to have 2 Diet Cokes today just because it's hard to re-engage the brain, so I understand that. But I'm not going to let you go just yet because I know there's other things that people are probably thinking of. Or not. anything from members of the ELT while we have a captive audience? And while we're waiting to see if anybody else has any questions before I let us all go early?
I was just going to say that I think that even though there are more approvals now that have to take place with new positions, that they're actually moving a little more quickly than they did at the beginning of the, stay at home. So I think things are moving more quickly, and that's a good thing.
I just had a fun question, and I'm going to answer it. What is my biggest personal goal for this year? And I actually do have one, and it's actually my word of the year as well. I realized as I was reflecting on my life and, COVID and all of the things, that I don't have any dreams. Because guess what, folks? One of my biggest dreams that I was chasing for a lot of years was move back to Maine. Like, check that box. Here I am. So I got to find myself some new dreams. So that's what I'm working on this year. I'm open to suggestions, but it just all of a sudden, again, I think a friend of mine and I were talking about, like, what are your dreams in life? And I was like, well, for years it was to move back to Maine. And I guess now that I've checked that box, I haven't really given it any thought. So that's my word of the year is dream, because I think it's applicable in so many ways. But yeah, that's my biggest goal, is to figure out some kind of short-term, middle-term, and longer-term dreams for myself. Couple other questions. The time frame for our budget outlook. I have a feeling that we may know things after these budget hearings. And oh, by the way, extension is the last budget hearing. And that was only because I was literally like in front of my email when a weirdly timed request came out to like sign up for times. I took the very last one because guess what? They're all gonna have forgotten 13 slots ago what that unit's budget was all about, and we will be the last one that's at top of mind. So yeah, so I'm excited about that. So I'm hopeful that after that process, we may have a better idea of what the outlook will be. I say this, we know that there's going to be, we know that there's going to be some sort of budget reductions for FY22. We just, again, we don't know if they're going to be like, I kind of like a hangnail that, yeah, it hurts, but we'll get over it, or is it a deep kind of gash to the bone? So I think a lot will be said. Again, remember, budgets are all based on students coming to campus and coming back to campus and whatnot. So I think they're waiting on those numbers as well. Idea about projected vaccine availability, I have no idea. And again, just looking, I've had several questions just in the chat about this in regards to different units and whatnot. I'm hopeful that I'll learn more during the president's call on Wednesday. I'm hopeful that that information she will share, just even if it's just some general ideas. And as soon as I know that, I'm planning on sending an email out on Wednesday with any updates from her call. So as soon as we know about some vaccine availability, I will certainly let you all know that, because I know that's on everybody's mind. The vaccine, yeah. So I don't know. I know we're behind in Maine on the number of vaccines that have been available. I don't know where, university faculty and staff are kind of in the system as far as, are we general public? Are we essential employees? I don't know. So again, hopefully some of that will come out, and I will ask those questions too if I get the opportunity on Wednesday morning's call. Good question. Going back to our county money, will there be guidelines on how to use the kickback? I like that. Probably county government wouldn't like to hear that, but I kind of am going to embrace that. So guidelines on how to use this technology money, yes and no. We would like to focus it on technology needs. And again, technology needs could be software, it could be an iPad, it could be a computer, it could be a camera for your computer, just that technology umbrella. So those are the guidelines. Now, one of the reasons why we wanted to credit the counties back this money is because it's county money. It doesn't fall under those spending restrictions and whatnot from the university. So we are not approving everything and all that. So this is where I often tell my friends, make good choices. We'd like to have it utilize, and separate story with that, but make good choices. And again, under the technology umbrella. But we're not going to be looking over your shoulders and things like that. But this is, again, we're stewards of county money, and this is county money being credited back. So let's be good stewards of our county finances. The question as far as vaccines being covered by insurance, and Fran, I don't know if Fran's had any conversations with HR. My assumption would be that yes, there would be some insurance coverage for these vaccines, and they were talking at one point. I know that there are some plans in place. They've been working on scenarios for, on-campus vaccinations, like with the flu shot. But I don't know, again, if that's going to occur or not. Fran, do you have any other updates? Maybe not.
Yeah, I just chatted that
Oh.
in. I assume it's going to be treated like the flu shot has been treated over the years.
Yeah.
I'll put that on the list. I know that there's a meeting on Thursday about with the emergency team.
Yeah. And again, we may get more information on Wednesday. I wish that the president had a meeting this morning. That would have worked well with my schedule for this extension connection. So I could have been like, oh, and the president said this, that, and the other thing. So again, stay tuned for an email sometime on Wednesday, even if it's just to say the president shared nothing that is useful today. I mean, I wouldn't say that exactly, but something like that. So, and yeah, I know I've been getting some private chats. It's interesting because I've heard, and this is just with some of my colleagues across the country, in some other states, university employees might possibly be considered essential employees. So with that, they would move up. But again, I don't know if there's any talk of that here. I haven't heard any. This is just about, like, again, in other states. So we'll see. And again, I'll let you all know. I know, heck, it's the number one question in my mind too. I would really like to be able to, like, hug my sister. So yeah, as soon as I know something, I'll let you guys all know. I think yes, I think I've gotten everything in the chat. If I've missed something, yeah, I think I've got everything. If not, the guideline, yeah. Certainly, again, in regards to the counties and technology needs, those emails are going to go out from Dennis tomorrow. But reach back out with any questions that you may have. I will certainly, as I said, Wednesday, plan on getting an email from me with any updates that we have. I've also been kind of keeping some of our highlights and events and news items. I've been putting together an email, so there will be a pretty lengthy email that goes out on Wednesday as well. So if there aren't any other questions, again, happy to see you all. Thanks for coming back. I feel like, people got towards the end of the year last year and like, what? So I really appreciate, again, this organization. I appreciate you all so much. As I said in my email, I truly believe while 2020 was the most challenging year of my life, as I'm sure it was for all of you too, it was absolutely the most rewarding as well because of the work that you all did. And I look forward to the opportunity to do even more this year. But again, managing our health and well-being, and thinking about the future and thinking about what we can do to innovate and do new things, and hopefully add some new folks to extension, and again, meet the needs that we have. So with that, if there aren't any other questions, I'm happy to give you 10 minutes back of your day. And we will see you all in a month from now, if not sooner, at various meetings. And again, feel free to reach out at any point in time if you need anything. Thank you all.